So welcome again to Scrapbook Live. I'm Megan Jax. Today is May 24th, so we have a fun layout project for today. If you're looking for the handout, you can find it on my blog. This is a Creative Memories blog project, but I always format a handout for you so you can print that off. It's on my website. The link to it is in the description below if you're following this on YouTube. If you are watching live on Facebook, you will see it in the comments. There will be a pinned comment that has the link to my blog post that has that PDF that you can print off. So today's layout, I went clear back to 2019 for this one. It's cute. I love the Puppy Love theme pack that was out then. It's retired now, but it is adorable. And if you're a cat fanatic, you can still find the cat theme pack on the website. You'll go to Creative Memories and just type in the word cat in the search button and it'll pull up. I think it's called Catitude, and it is super cute. So, but if you're like me and you don't have any pets, you think, well, what can I do with a pet layout? Well, of course, all the layouts can be done with something different, right? So for this layout, I'm actually going to be expanding it from a single page layout to a 2-page layout, and I'll show you why this particular layout works really well for that without having to really make any modifications to it. Because I have some pictures of my son, my oldest child. Last year in 2022, he was a senior. So we have senior night for wrestling. And of course, I had more than 3 photos. I had more than I wanted to put on a peekaboo pocket. So I'm going to show you how to change this into a 2-page layout to make it, some of us I know, we always do 2-page layouts. I personally am okay with a single page layout if it fits my photos. For this particular need, I need 2 pages. So we're going to expand it out to 2 pages. So I'm going to switch over here to my overhead camera and we'll get started with today's layout. All right, so here is the project, the handout. You can see here, we've got the nice picture of the layout. They do use the 3-in-1 tag punch. And the one that they use is the one that was available at the time back in 2019, which was, I believe it was, I think it was a scallop. They call that, maybe they tell us on here that it's a 3-in-1 scallop tag. And right now, the 3-in-1 tag that's currently available is called, I believe this is called Bevel. And it is actually pretty handy. If you don't have a tag punch, I am going to tell you, I do kind of like having a tag punch. I actually use this particular tag punch to make my swatch cards of all my cardstocks. These are 2-by-3-inch pieces of cardstock that I then slide into my tag punch, and I did that at the top. I then put it on a binder ring. And I just hand wrote in all of my labels. So this is actually really great. This came in super handy when trying to the recent cardstock buffet that we had. I was actually out of town, had my husband open all my boxes, grab my swatches, and compare colors to the cardstock buffets, and it let me know what I needed to order more of. So anyway, if you don't have a swatch card already made, consider making one with your scraps. The 3-in-1 tag punch works really great to easily put the holes in for your swatch cards. Anyway, so back to the layout. They do show using this tag punch to do these pieces, which is a fun technique to do with the tags. I am not going to be doing that. I am adjusting this for my son's high school stuff, and so they were the Bruins. And so if you may have noticed before, I've used animal tracks because I love animal tracks for my son's, for the mascot, even though it's not a bear paw, but it's still fun. It's animals, right? And I'm also going to be using Star. And the reason is because some of the papers I'm using have the star. They were from the geometric, it wasn't geometric. It was the bedazzled papers that we had, and I think they had the bedazzled stars. So I've got a couple of papers. They're the red tones from that. I've got some gray cardstock. This is crimson cardstock. And this is a piece of paper out of the, I believe it is out of silver and gold. This might be out of the shades of silver and gold. I'm sorry, I really should have done better about keeping track what packs I pulled them from. I'm pretty certain this is out of shades of silver and gold. It's got the black with the flecks on the gold flecks on one side. The opposite side is kind of this, would be craft paper, but gray. And then this is out of the neutral shades. Totally Tonals last year in 2022, we had kind of a gray pack that had the grays in there, and this is from that. I actually have 2 sheets of this that I'll be working with. I've already started one page to kind of make sure I like the direction I was going. So this piece here is my background. So I have 2 pieces of that. And then I'm going to be working with these various tones of the red, the gray, the crimson cardstock. I do have some stuff I've already punched out of black shimmer. This was senior night, so I got a little bit of bling in there without being too overstated. My son's pretty low key, so nothing too flashy in his stuff. So those are all the papers I'm going to be working with as we pull together here. So what you can see is I was really going for color over collection. And that's how I find myself working with a lot of stuff for my kids' high school albums. I'm just defaulting mostly to using their colors and then letting the photos kind of add those details. So this is all the wrestling. I will probably add a title that includes wrestling, but I'm not so worried about having wrestling accents. These pictures will be just perfectly fine for what I've got going on there. All right, so to get started, looking at this layout here, you can see they start with a background paper. They're adding a couple of strips of designer paper at the top and the bottom. I'm going to be doing that with this star paper. You already see I've already cut some off of it. So that star paper is going to be my top and bottom. They do show some border details in here. And I'm going to be honest with you, I did go through my stickers. I really wasn't finding anything that was catching my eye that I didn't want to detract from it. Like I said, this is for my my teenager. He's really low, understated, so nothing too, I don't know, nothing too flashy here. And so I'm going to be just sticking with some strips of gray paper. This is a gray cardstock. I'm going to be using some strips of gray cardstock. And then I have some other pieces that I will be cutting. You see that they cut the different sizes. They use a rectangular custom cutting system to make a couple pieces here. I'll probably just cut some rectangles. I'm not sure I'm going to use the corner rounder at all on this. I thought maybe I would. The way they rounded it works really well with the scallop tag punch that they used. But since I am using the animal tracks for mine, I am not sure that I'm going to have rounded edges. I'm going to start with squared off pieces. Maybe I'll round one and just see what I think. But I'm more than likely probably going to stick with just squared edges. I've got very angular piece things already with the stars are very angular, and I've got that star theme going throughout. So I'm not sure I'm going to round anything, but I will save that for a decision for later. So to get started with this, I have gobs of pictures. Well, it feels like a lot of pictures. I definitely have enough pictures for a 2-page layout. I'm really not going to worry, excuse me, I'm not going to worry about my pictures too much right now because I'm going to build the background first. And while we're talking about backgrounds, let me talk about why this is going to be so relatively easy to expand to 2 pages. The eye-catching element of this, aside from the photos, right, is these details on the sides. So what I'm going to be able to do is I've got kind of a left-sided detail here, and I've got a right side detail. All I'm going to do is separate those. I'll leave this left side detail on the left page. The right side detail, I'll move over to the right page. And that's going to give me a whole bunch of space in the middle to work with. So that's going to work out really well. But the thing is until I have that space built, it's a little bit hard for me to visualize exactly where my photos are going to go. So probably what I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to build my background, work on placement, and then that placement may actually take, like I sometimes do, finish that layout off screen, so I have plenty of time to hem and haw and think about it but I'll be matting a few things and so forth. So we'll get building here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build my background first. I already know that I'm gonna be using this tonal star paper. I've already got some thin strips. These are just shy of 1/4 inch of gray cardstock. I'll be using those. So let me cut, then we get my trimmer out, and we're gonna cut the papers for the background. So that's gonna be this paper here. And we're gonna follow the directions that they give us for the sizing. And that sizing, if we look here, is step 2. 1 1/4 inch width are those pieces that we see. So 1 1/4 inch, and I need 2 of those for the top and the bottom of my layout. So there's 1, and we'll cut a second one. So those are going to be the top and the bottom of my layout. And I'm actually going to go ahead and take the time and put them on my paper, because once I get my background built, it'll be easier for me to start building pieces off to the side. I can kind of lay them in and see what I think. So I'm just going to grab some regular adhesive and put this 1 strip at the top, 1 strip at the bottom. And it just goes flush at the top. And the other piece will be flush at the bottom. Yes, so Michelle's asking if for a 2-page, yes. If you're making a 2-page layout, you would need a total of 4. I've already cut 2, because I cheated, remember? I already made 1. So I'm making my second one. So I've already cut 2 for a total of 4. And you can see here now I'm going to be adding that thin band of gray cardstock at the top and the bottom. I just really love that. Just a nice understated a background. So this black background paper is from the tonal, oh my gosh, it was one of the Totally Tonals neutrals, maybe from last year. I can't remember. It's not available anymore. I would love. I feel like I need to be sending in a product request every day, asking them to come out with the Totally Tonals black and white or the gray. I just love having those tonal packs to choose from. So I don't know if you guys have been picking up the Totally Tonals. They've been coming out with them based on the cardstock colors. I'm just using the mini adhesive. This is the red mini refill to put on my thin strips. You could use the repositionable adhesive, but I would love to see the black and the grays. I love those colors. But like I said, when I'm doing these pictures for my oldest, I really like those understated layouts for here. Just some classic colors, and you can see when I put these photos on here how well that's really going to work. So these are just a few of the photos. You can see that was kind of my guiding thing, really just letting those photos pop. I want to make sure that people can see the details here in the because it's all of his friends. We want to be able to draw attention to all the guys that he wrestled with his senior year. All right, so now that we have the background done, and we have both background pieces done, let me kind of move some things out of the way so we can see the background side by side. Here's where you can see now we're going to build that right side detail, or excuse me, the left side detail, and we'll build the right side detail, and then we'll put our photos in between. So yeah, this is really understated, really just a great basic background, but just giving us that added interest to be able to play a bit with our punches. So that'll be a lot of fun. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the sizes that they have here. And I actually have a pencil, and I should have done this ahead of time. They list some photo sizes in step 3. I'm not worried about the photo sizes. They are using the smaller custom cutting system rectangle pattern. So these are probably a 4x6-ish. I could probably make a 4x6-ish, cut it into maybe 4x3s to do the size there. So that's roughly that size. I have the 2 tags. So they show there, cut a 2-inch wide of the golden rod. So this is 2 1/2. This is a 2-inch piece. And then so what I'm doing is I'm just writing on here the different sizes of pieces. That's going to just help it make it easy for me to do some stuff. So 3 inches is by 2. This is 2 1/2 by 3. So we'll just get started cutting some paper. They do have some 1-inch size pieces. Like I said, I cut those already out of the stars. So what I did is I punched some black shimmer paper with the border maker system and the star. Then I cut it at 5 inches. Then I cut off 1-inch pieces to have a single star, and then left one with a 2-inch piece. I'm going to be doing something a little bit similar using the animal tracks now. Animal tracks will be a little bit harder to cut in between. You can see they're a little bit tighter together there. So I'll probably do more 2-inch wide pieces to leave them as pairs. I could make them 3-inch wide pieces if I wanted to have 3 of the paws together. So we'll kind of see. But the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is punch some of these papers. And I think what I will do is I need to leave some paper that's going to be the bigger pieces. And I think I'll do that with this piece. Well, I think I'll do it with this piece here. So I'm going to cut, instead of those big rectangular pieces that they have, where they have the animals, you can see the animal prints sitting. I'm going to cut some pieces. I think I'll do them to 4x6. So I'm going to cut a 4-inch wide piece of paper here. Cut it at 6 inches. And then they talk about in step 4, that rectangular pattern that they cut one piece at 2 1/2 inches and one at 3. So it's not equal. So I'm going to cut this. We'll have one piece be 3 1/2 and one piece will be 2 1/2. The larger piece is going to come over to this side. The smaller piece will come over here. I'm just dry fitting them into place at the moment. I can always switch things around. I do have some tonal side there. If I decide I don't like this, I could swap it out to the other paper. I'm going to go ahead and punch give myself a spot to punch over here. I'm going to take animal tracks and I'm going to punch twice. Actually, I'll do 3 times. I'm just coming down 3. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trim this at, I'm going to give myself plenty of length. I can cut off the extra. I'm going to trim this at 3 1/2 inches. Now I'm going to trim at 2 inches. I'm really wanting to trim between my paw prints. So if you're not quite at 2 inches, 2 inches is the width of my pattern. So my paws should be, every 2 inches should be the middle of the paws. So I'm going to trim it 2 inches. And I probably am going to wish I'd made those a little bit longer, but maybe what I'll do is I'll bring back that square. And you can see I'm just kind of, playing around with how the positioning is going to be. Now remember, I have some stars on my black. I could bring my stars in there. My stars are black, so I want to make sure it stays on the red so you can see the stars. I do have this lighter gray. I'm going to go ahead and punch it as well. The same thing where I punch 2 to 3 of the paws or the animal tracks. This one I'm going to give myself a little bit more width. I'm going to go ahead and come out to 5 inches, which is probably way more than I need. I'll cut it at 2 inches again, give myself 2 2-inch strips. So there's 1 and 2. And then I'm going to go ahead and try a 1-inch strip. And that 1-inch strip I will turn around the other direction so I have more paper to hold with my left hand. And just come right down the middle. So I have 1 paw there, and we'll try another one. And I'm just kind of playing around with placement. I want the stars to show. Sometimes I'll come back to the original here and just kind of see. I think I like something about like that. They're not wanting to hold in place very well. I need my magnetic board that will hold everything in place for me. And then the opposite side. My paws are going to have to possibly go downward. I would need to have punched the reverse. I actually think what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace these pieces of paper here. I need something a little bit brighter. I'm going to do the other these pieces just feel really dark. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to go ahead and give myself, let's see here, the 4 inches wide. I'll cut myself a 3.5 inch piece and I'll do a 3 inch. You're just playing with blocks, so it really doesn't matter. You can kind of experiment a little bit. I'm gonna, this particular piece of paper, when I punched it, my paw prints are going the opposite direction. So what I need to do is turn my paper over and punch from this side. So I'm just gonna do that this way. That way my paw print should be going upright. Okay, so it's gonna be something along those lines. You can see there, just kind of moving things around. I just need to make sure that this piece sticks off far enough so that you can't see those paw prints. In fact, I'm just gonna cut those. I'm going to use some repositionable adhesive to start putting some of these pieces in place. It will let me move. I'm going to leave some edges here available if I wanted to tuck things under. I can. I don't know how much I'll tuck under the paw prints. Getting those all put inside. The single star is there, it's all the shimmer paper. Yeah, so it's all the shimmer paper. So if you saw the single star and you thought it was a little bit more gray, it just reflected the light a little bit. So there's kind of the look I'm going for. This, I think, all needs to move up a little bit. I don't want... I wanted to make sure everything felt shifted. So I'm going to move some of these pieces down to give myself a little bit more of that not quite as much there we go. Okay, so that's roughly the look I'm going for. Probably need to double check how straight things are because I think things might be a little bit off in the straight department. Grab my T-square. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm pretty good, actually pretty straight on there, so that's good. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut the reverse side or the back side and get all the excess that's hanging off here. Just go ahead and slice it all off so that I have that nice clean edge. You can do it from the front or the back when you're cutting. This one I think is a little off. I'm going to double check it with my ruler, my T-square. Yeah, I had adjusted it and that's better now, but it's now off. Little details here. Once I get the background done, all right. So there's my background page. You can see here. This piece seems, I'm looking at some stuff on the overhead and this one just seems like it's a little off kilter. We'll try. There we go. Okay. So now that we have the background built here, right? It's just I love it. I think it's really, really understated, which is what I wanted. I've got lots of photos of the boys just being kind of silly. Lots of group shots in here. I'm going to have to trim things down a little bit. I wasn't 100% sure. I can peekaboo pocket some things if I need to. So I might have like those pictures like that. I can peekaboo pocket a few of these things. I have a tendency to crop to a 4x6 before I crop to 4x6s before I print. So that leaves sometimes I don't have a ton of space to be able to crop things down further. I was able to take a few of these into 4x6s, or excuse me, 4x4s. This one I took to a 4x5. These guys were being so silly with each other. That will be a good one to peekaboo pocket because I believe this is all of the seniors. Yeah, this is all of the seniors. Just, well, one of those is not a senior, but they're being silly. The entire team. And then just some more candids with the coach and the rest of the teammates. So I'll figure out how to get these all on here. Leave a little space to be able to put a title. But I will peekaboo pocket a few of these so that, yeah. These will peekaboo pocket. This one, and then I'll put a picture of him over here giving his coach a hug. We'll crop that one down. We truly had the best wrestling coach. Wrestling is one of those sports, like any sport, that, you know, your coach really, really makes a difference. And I will say, we had an awesome wrestling coach. So we're going to go something along these lines here. I will come in with some, I'm going to peekaboo pocket a couple of them. I will probably put in the title. I'm not sure exactly how the title is going to come in here. I will probably come in with some large lettering up here that says something like senior night, for senior night wrestling, and then maybe 2022 right there. And we will continue to go there. But I am going to mat a couple of these. I will probably pick up on with the crimson or the gray on some of those, especially maybe the things that are going to go inside the peekaboo pocket. I can cut this one down a little bit and mat this on a 4x6 inside the peekaboo pocket. So when it sits on top, you'll see that red around the peekaboo, rather than trying to put my mat on the page itself for the outside the peekaboo pocket. Save myself a little bit of space. If I use a mat on the peekaboo pocket, or excuse me, if I mat outside of the peekaboo pocket, I need to use a mat that is closer to the 4.5 by 6.5. If I mat inside the peekaboo pocket, what I'll be able to do is go ahead and just use a 4x6 mat, trim that photo down, and that should work really, really well. We do have the smaller size peekaboo pockets now. You can, the 4x4, the 3x4s. Those are really awesome additions. I'm so excited to see those now in our lineup. I love that they did them separate from each other. So if you find yourself using 4x4s all the time, you can get exactly what you need. This group photo, I'm going to trim down. I'm going to trim it down by at least 1/4 inch. I think I'll be able to come down a little bit more than that. Give myself a nice mat all the way around. I think I need to take a little bit more off the top. I'm pushing that 1/2 inch, not quite a 1/2 inch, off both sides, or all the sides. So it's about just shy. It's not quite 3.5 by 5.5, but there you can see that's what's going to go inside my peekaboo pocket. I can trim these other ones down. Like, this will be really easy for me on the flip side here. When you flip this over, I'll trim this piece down as well, and I'll have a little space if I want to do a little bit of journaling under it. Like, I don't need all of this space at the top. So I can come trim this down. And then I'll be able to, when you lift up that peekaboo pocket, this picture is what you will see. And I have some space here if I want to include some journaling now on that peekaboo pocket. So let me just really quick add these photos, and I'll show you how it'll just easily fit inside that peekaboo pocket. I could go all the way to the top with this photo if I wanted to. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit, give myself a little bit of that red sticking out the top. And this is a side to side. I'll use a up and down flapping one, but you guys can see. Well, yeah, we'll just do it this way for now so you guys can see. I'll grab another peekaboo pocket. But that's just going to fit in there, sit in like that. Then you'd flip it up You'll see those guys standing there. They'll have some journaling here. I can use a lighter metallic journal pen if I want. And then this picture here, I would probably go ahead and I will crop it down just a little bit so that it can fit underneath and be completely hidden by that peekaboo pocket. And then of course we'll have these photos down here. So that'll be the right side page, and the left side page, I will peekaboo pocket this one. I will probably go ahead and trim it down so that it mats right on top of here. This will sit under it. This can flip open, and if that's where I want to put all my journaling, I certainly could. I could have maybe some season stats. He did, I'm trying to remember if he got a certificate at all. I don't think he did that year. Sometimes I have little plaques that he got for like most improved wrestler, but I think that was a different one of his other years. But certainly can put the journaling or other little stats in here that I want. So that's the basis of this particular layout. And then I'm going to add those finishing details. I will have the final photo to be able to show you guys what it looks like. I'll get that done here shortly so you guys can see. I probably should have had those letters cut. Maybe I'll use the Creative Memories silver. There's this new silver script letters, might work really well. I need to take a peek at those and see if I think that'll work for this layout. So that's the fun there, but you can see this is a real easy one to split in half. And to make into a 2-page layout because we have those side elements. Sometimes we have the top and the bottom. It feels like you could just duplicate it over to a second page, but this one we just split those side border elements off to the side, give us that big space in the middle to work with. So I do see a question about using the repo adhesive. I do have a tendency to use repo adhesive probably more than I really would need to. I certainly, when I was adhering those photos, I could have used regular adhesive. My hand just has a tendency to go for the repo all the time. So you can do that. Our repo, the Creative Memories repo adhesive does stick just fine. I've had several albums put together with it. They stay together fine. The repo adhesive gets firmer over time. Like if I come back the next day and try to pull up things that I've put down with the repo adhesive, you could definitely tell that adhesive, it will always remain, you can remove it, but it takes more effort and it will to remove after a certain amount of time. The one thing you'll want to watch, for those of you who are using repo adhesive, when you're using it on designer paper that has a printed pattern, so any kind of paper that has a printed pattern to it, it can lift that ink off of the page. So don't think that if you can just put it on a regular piece of paper or designer piece of paper and like, oh, I just want to move it. It may lift the ink. Cardstock to cardstock, you can usually pull it off, or cardstock to shimmer paper, or it won't lift those types of colors, but it does the designer paper. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're putting any kind of adhesive on a designer piece of paper. Removing it can be a little tricky, especially if you're not wanting to lift the ink. So those are the things you want to handle there. So I do see a question about the page protectors. I will not put the peekaboo pocket on until it's in the page protector. My peekaboo pockets do lay on top of the page protector. So sometimes when I'm creating my layouts, I have what I call holding albums. And for those albums, they just get put in any order so that we can start to enjoy the photos. You could go ahead and put your peekaboo pocket on that. Or sometimes I'll just tuck the peekaboo pocket in, knowing that once I have a few minutes, usually once or twice a year, I try to go through and reorganize my albums. I mean, as you guys have noticed, when I'm doing Scrapbook Live, I'm all over the place, right? I was, I think, not too long ago doing pictures of Kevin when he was like 5, and here he is 18 in these photos. So I jump around a lot, but I put things in holding albums so we can start to enjoy the albums. I can start to flip through what have I created, what do I want to show, that is the holding albums work great. But once I get them into their final spots in their albums, that's when I'll officially put the Peekaboo Pocket on the page. You certainly could put them on while they're in the holding album. You would just need to then move that entire page over to whatever album you're going over to, that works as well. So Linda's asking about the cardstock swatches that I made. So these, you've probably seen these from lots of paper crafters will have swatches of their cardstock. The great part about this, it does allow me to pull out my cardstock instead of going into all my files and trying to find the perfect color. What I can do is I can grab my swatches and I can take a peek. Do I want to use leaf green, lily pad, Kelly green, or some other color of green that I have, right? Because I have 3 colors of green in here that are all, well, there's the shamrock in there, is probably not close, but like I have 3 colors of green that maybe I want to see, are they going to work? So I can pull this out and I can just kind of like fan it out on which one's going to work, so that I'm not grabbing 5 or 6 sheets out of my files and comparing. Then I have to file them back, right? That just takes a little bit more effort, and I'm super messy. I don't need to be adding to my mess. The other part that was really nice is, like I said, when we had the cardstock buffet that came out, I ordered some, and then my husband was able to, and I would have done the same thing, is to fan it out and determine, okay, the new blue orchid, where does it fall in line with these colors? And I was able to see that blue orchid falls in line really nicely between blue and light or baby blue on our current, but it is darker than the medium blue that we had a few years ago. Medium blue actually is a beautiful color. So if you have a chance to create a cardstock swatch with your from your stash, it's a great way to use up some of your scraps. It's just add to it over time. You don't need to cut up a whole new sheet of paper just to get your swatch, but as you're building your working with your scraps, you can certainly do that. And for advisors out there, I'm going to tell you, if you're looking for a little make and take to do at one of your events, this was a big hit at my February crop. I had it set up that I had cut up all of the new cardstock colors from Creative Members, our current lineup. I had it all set up, already cut to the 2x3. I then had my 3-in-1 punch available for them to use to create their own cardstock swatch set. So that was a fun little activity to do at a crop. So advisors out there, if you're planning something, an event, think about doing that. If you are at home, you could certainly do it with, use a hole punch out of square pieces of paper. I've seen people that they will just punch them and punch it out of a punch, right? Whatever punch, and then just adhere it to a piece of paper. And then they keep that paper in a 3-ring binder, maybe in a sheet protector. That would be another way to do it. I prefer the swatch because it's easier for me to manipulate and hold right up to my backgrounds to decide what color I want to use. Like for this example, I was trying to do, was crimson the right color red? Did I want to use cranberry? I have burgundy and sangria. I had some red options, so I was trying to figure out what red's going to go best with the reds that I had chosen out of that bedazzled stars paper pack. So hopefully that answers the question why these are pretty awesome. So like I mentioned at the top of the beginning of Scrapbook Live, if you guys are looking for some fun summer scrapping to do, Tessa and I do have an 8-week summer scrap challenge that we start on. I believe the start date is going to be like June 4th. And so that's coming up. Let me show you here. Yeah, June 4th, that should be a Sunday. We're going to kick off our 8-week summer challenge. It's our 3rd year doing this. We have lots of fun. It's laid back. It's not meant to be anything that is going to overwhelm you. Summer is about being outdoors, enjoying a time with family. Maybe you have trips planned, but it's also a great opportunity to still be catching up on projects or keep making progress on those projects that you've already started, right? So when we do summer scrap at the beginning of the week on Monday, we have a challenge layout. When we say challenge, they're not usually that challenging. It's a challenge for the week that we just want you to give it a try. Maybe try a technique you haven't tried before or whatnot. And then on Thursdays, we have what we call Throwback Project. And these are typically older Creative Memories projects, maybe something older that Tessa and I did previously through various layouts that we've created for various other things. And then We also have what we call our scrap board, and the scrap board is fun. It's kind of like bingo, but you play blackout all summer long on it. And we have little different things on there that we want you to try. Maybe use, dig through your stash. What's the oldest? Go back and try to find the oldest thing that you've purchased that you haven't used yet, and use it. Right? This is what we call, is considered a bash your stash type of event. We may be showcasing some new products that come out from Creative Memories over the summer, but we certainly don't expect you to feel like you have to use new stuff. Use up your old stuff, work through those things. We'll highlight tools, hopefully, that you have a chance to use. And we just have a good time. It has a private Facebook group that we share layouts in. It's really inspiring to see everybody's progress that they create. We have lots of people who finish up albums, get new projects started. Great stuff there. So I do agree that Kelly's down in Florida and she's saying summer's a time to be in the air conditioning. So I would agree with you on that one. I don't have air conditioning, but I do have a tendency, scrapbooking is, part of the day that for me is a good way if it's a little warmer outside. My scrapbook room is on the north side of my house, not usually quite as warm as the south side of my house. But I know some of you who live in the South or in the Midwest where it's super humid, or, Arizona where it's like 100 million degrees. Summer's an okay time to be indoors too. So great time to get some scrapbooking done. So that's all I have for you guys this week. Next week is the last Wednesday of the month. It's the 31st. We'll be doing borders. So I don't know what borders we're going to do yet. I'll get that figured out, get it posted. This is a holiday weekend for everyone here in the US. That'll be fun. Hopefully everybody has exciting plans for that. I did tech with Tessa. So talking about the summer scrap, if you are in our ideas and inspiration group coming up, pay attention Monday morning because we might be doing a little hint of what the summer scrap challenge is like. So Monday, there's going to be a challenge posted in the ideas and inspiration group to give you a little test idea of what summer scrap is about. And if you do that challenge, you'll be put into a drawing for a free summer scrap. It would have to be a new layout. So some of you who've done summer scrap with us in the past, you may see that the challenge is one from our past 2 years. We're not sure which one we're going to put in there yet, but it would need to be a new layout, but you have all week to work on it. So look for that Monday morning. So yeah, borders next week. I know that's always a fun one to do. Play with your tools, right? Who doesn't love to do that? All right. This Friday, guys, is a product preview day. The Creative Memories will have new products launching on Tuesday next week, so after the holiday. So look for Friday. I will have all the new products. I'll post those onto my Facebook page if you'd love to get the sneak peeks as to what's coming. That will come out at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. Pacific on Friday. So I'll have that information to share. I think Secret Box, what I've heard about Secret Box is it's coming middle of June, probably for the July virtual crop. All right. So good things are coming. It's a very exciting time to be scrapbooking. The weather's looking beautiful. Your gardens are probably all blooming. So it's a beautiful time of year. All right, everybody, take care. I will see you next week. And as always, if you ever have questions, reach out to me. I'm always happy to try to help. Thanks so much for watching.